Hi, it's Steph. Welcome back to my channel where I give you quick tips and tricks on how to navigate Excel. Today I want to talk to you about parsing data, taking data that is in one column and spreading it out into multiple columns because maybe there's a comma, maybe there's a slash, some sort of weird character. An example would be employee names. Last name, comma, first name. What if you want it to be first and then last with no commas? Let's jump over to the spreadsheet and I'll show you how that's done. So here I have a database of names, employee names, and it's all last name, comma, first name. But if you wanted to have it first name, comma, last name, let's talk about how to get that done. The first thing we want to do is spread this data out into two columns based on the comma. So I'm going to insert a couple of blank columns here to hold the data that we need, give us room to kind of spread the data out. So I've highlighted some columns and I will right click in here and say insert, which inserts blank columns. So now I will highlight my data that I want to spread out across these blank columns based on the comma. Now, that is found in the data submenu. So up here we have home, insert, page layout. Go to the one that says data and choose text to columns. And now it brings up this wizard. We are going to choose delimited, which means we're going to separate it out based on a character such as a comma. That's perfect. Fixed would be something more like if you always had a set of data where up to a certain point it was just 4 characters, 5 characters, 20 characters, someplace where you wanted it to cut off. But because our last names are variable, we're going to choose delimited. Choose next. And look at my data preview down here in the bottom. I'm going to choose comma up here in the top as one of my delimiters. So it's going to separate the data based on that comma, but it's also got this extra character in here. So let's choose space as well and choose finish. And now you'll see it brought over everything. It divided it all right where the comma and the space were. But we sort of have this problem where any last name that has a space in it also got separated out. So let's undo and go back to text to columns next, and let's get rid of that space and see what it does. Well, that looks a little better. It retained any last name that had a space in it. So the only thing that's a little funny is we have a space in front of all of our first names. So let's do a cleanup formula here that says we're going to trim that space. Let's trim it by choosing equals trim and then choose the value in C2 and close our parenthesis. And now our name does not have that space in it anymore. Let's pull that down. And it only got rid of the space at the front. It didn't get rid of any spaces in between, which is perfect. So this is going to be our new first name column. Now, you might be tempted to just go ahead and delete column C because you don't need it anymore. But if you do that, if I right click and choose delete, now it throws an error because remember this formula was looking to that cell we just deleted. So let me undo that and let me show you how to retain this value. Highlight these cells, or you can highlight the whole column and do a right click and say copy. What we want to do is save this value instead of having it be a formula. Right click, under paste options, there's some shortcuts here, but I want to walk you through actually what we're doing, which is under paste special, you'll choose value and click OK. Now when I put my cursor on these, you'll see up here in the formula bar that they are actually values of the person's name and no longer a formula. So now I can delete column C. Perfect. So now this is last name, and this is first name. And if I did want to combine these two into a first name and a last name, let me show you how you can do that. You can build a formula and you can reference the first name in cell C2. And anytime you're what's called stringing together text, if you want to add a character into that value or into that formula, you have to use the ampersand sign and put the new characters that you want in double quotes and then another ampersand sign. So for example, we'll put an ampersand sign, and in our double quote, we'll open that up and put a space, close that double quote, put another ampersand, and choose the last name. Now we have the name, and we can pull this all the way down. And remember to do a copy and then paste value. I love shortcut keys, and I'm going to show you. I do an Alt-E to bring up my data special value. I do Alt-E-S-V gets to paste special value, and now these names are all just fine. Might want to keep the last name, first name, if you ever needed to sort on last name, but now you have a column that actually has a good name as how we're familiar to looking at it. Let me show you one more example. I'm going to delete this blank column. One more example in real life of how to use the text to columns feature. This tab has a data set. I get this every week from an outside source. And there's no formulas in here. This is all just raw data. Even the total line is just a number. So that's fine. I can do some calculations, but when it comes to this column D, let me center this so that we can see it, what it's doing. All of these always come in as a number and then this vertical line and then a second number, and I can never do anything with it unless I do my text to columns function. So let me insert my blank rows, my blank columns actually, and highlight this data and choose data, text to columns. It's delimited by this strange up and down line. So now instead of comma, I'm going to choose other. It's a special character, and it's found on my keyboard right between backspace and enter, and it's the shift value, so it's this up and down line, and then I can finish. It warns me there's already data here. Do you want to replace it? Yes, I don't need to retain this old data. And now it's gone to exactly how I need it, and now I can actually do some calculations, some summing, and so on. So I will delete this, and this is, I'm going to copy this value with a Control-C and then a Control-V, and this one is total returning, and this one was total asks first time. And that is how you can actually use that text to columns in real life. So thanks for joining me today for this video. If you found this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you can find out if there's new videos being posted. Thanks for joining me today.